Isekai, Harem, and waifus. These were the ingredients chosen to make the greatest shows to ever grace the anime community. But oh no, the professor being a dumbass added another ingredient to the batch: stupidity. And thus, the most over-repaired, garbage, and horrendous genre of anime was born. God, that was stupid, but you all get the point. We're all familiar with the isekai genre at this point. The main character transported to another world, or in some cases is summoned as a hero. Now you can't look me in the eyes with a straight face and say that you haven't seen at least one isekai anime. It can either be a fun and wholesome adventure with the main character evolves over time, or an oversaturated, repetitive, and cliche isekai where the main character is overpowered and by episode 2, he already has a harem. Most of us have gotten tired watching isekai anime as they always follow the same formula. They never try to tell compelling story like Re:Zero or Rising of the Shield Hero, just to name a few. Every time we see another isekai coming out, it gives you a horrible taste in your mouth. But regardless of that, you still add it to your watch list. Or at least that's what I do since I'm addicted to them. Mostly so I can laugh at them. But that wasn't the case with one anime that I came across. I came across this anime called How Realist Hero Rebuilt the Kingdom, and I'll go ahead and give you the clip notes here. College student majoring in economics is summoned to another world and must save the kingdom not from the demon lord but from the IRS. That's as simple as I can put it, but I'll give you the full description. The main character Soma was summoned as a bargaining chip by the king to pay off all their debts, but notice how much more capable and intelligent he was than him and decides to appoint him as the temporary king. He then goes on to correct many of the kingdom's problems by restructuring the economy, agriculture, build roads, diversify the food supply, and all that stuff. Overall, I enjoyed the anime as it actually tried to have an identity of its own. It didn't follow the generic isekai formula, it essentially tried to stand out. Now the writing in the anime wasn't exactly Christopher Nolan writing. I wasn't exactly on the edge of my seat, getting all hyped up every episode. It was a chill anime that was interesting to watch, and I decided to watch season 2. Season 2 came out and I also fairly enjoyed it. I didn't exactly keep up with it weekly, up to a certain episode. In episode 21 they introduced this new character called Rora, and guess what? She has come to be one of the main character's wives. Now this is where I realized how stupid the harem trope has been throughout the entire anime. So far I was ignoring it and hoping that maybe only one of the female characters was going to be his wife. I was a damn fool for thinking that. Just the introduction of this stupid ass character made me realize how most of the female characters in the show are bland or have no legitimate reason to be in love with the main character. Apart from the secondary female character whose name is Lee. I really fucking forgot her name. I don't really care, but she's the only one that has a reason to be in love with him in the first place. But before I dive deeper into what I hear about the harem genre, I want to point out a few things that most isekai animes always fail at, and that is world building. In most isekais, you're always thrown into them with the assumption that you already know the world because it's a fantasy world where elves, magic, and demi-humans exist. I find this stupid because you never know whether or not magic works the same or if all races are able to coexist with one another. However, world building in this anime is cleverly explored through the use of economics and the solutions that someone comes up with. One example of this will be when Soma hosts an America's Got Talent competition. We are introduced to Aisha, who comes on behalf of the Dark Elves, a race that barely interacts with other races and keeps to themselves, no surprise there. Tomo is a demi-human, or to be more precise, mystic wolf who can talk with demons. While she barely appears in the show, her introduction leads us to infer that demi-humans in this world are seen as equals or that they are able to coexist with humans. Demi-humans in this world are able to hold a high position in society if they're given the opportunity and are not humiliated by the rest of society. Tomo is even able to become royalty if Soma adopts her in order to protect her. In musical Tensei, you learn or see a variety of races when Rudeus is transported to the demon continent. You learn of a race that talks with their mind only, the super tribe that is feared by everyone, and the beast race that lives in the woods. In Rising of the Shield Hero, demi-humans are looked down upon or are viewed with less value, such as Raftalia and her friends being sold off as slaves. Might sound like I'm nitpicking too much, but my point is that essentially not all isekai animes always establish that demi-humans are seen as equals or that they are able to coexist with humans. Some cases don't even interact with humans but are willing to work or talk with humans. My point is that world building is essentially what immerses you into an anime. So what makes you keep watching, makes you more curious to find out what other secrets or elements there are to the world in the anime you're watching. In musical Tensei, you are teased early on that there was this massive Lord of the Rings battle thousands of years ago that shaped the world and introduces a character that at first might just be throwaway line, but learn later that they have connection to another major character, that there is more to a history behind the suburbs. Just in traveling through the demon continent, you get to see the different types of races that exist in this world: demons, horse people, and humans. It's a really nice detail that I don't think I've seen people mention when it comes to isekai anime. How Realist Hero does a fairly good job with its world building. Might not be as deep or interesting as other isekai anime I mentioned, but it does try to stand out from the repetitive formula that we've always seen by trying something new with its main character and making him an economics professor instead of an overpowered protagonist. Now let's get into what I hear about the harem genre. We all know the harem genre is basically a bunch of girls that immediately fall in love with the main character. Most of the time they never really have a concrete reason for why they love him. I swear they always have this wild crazy story like, oh, I come from the wizarding world of Narnia after hearing how you defeated that evil Sith Lord Voldemort. That alone was enough of a motivation for me to travel 10,000 kilometers to proclaim myself as your wife. And the main character sits there and says, well, I guess I can't do nothing about it but say yes. Oh, yes you can say, listen, I appreciate the sentiment but I'm already happy with my 3 waifus, so you can see yourself out. How Realist Your Reaper of the Kingdom is no exception when it comes to our harem genre. It starts as an interesting anime with an interesting plot, but towards the end it turns into garbage. None of the female characters are interesting, nor do they even get any character development. The only character in the show that has some legitimate reason for loving Soma is Lisha, but even she's annoying sometimes. I'm gonna go over every single female character starting from the worst one. Rora is that one character that if you wish hard enough, you can punch them right to the screen. The only purpose she has served to the story so far is being exposition for the audience, that's it. She just summarizes everything that happened in the last scene. Her father's being a tyrant, so she pops in to say, my father's being mean. In another scene, her father dies, so she pops in again to say, my father's dead, time to cry. She's the most forgettable character in the anime, and when she decides to show up again, you ask yourself, who the fuck is that? The only reason why she even goes to someone in the first place is just to tell him that he's a celebrity because he's popular. I really hate this type of character that shows up and starts acting like she owns that place, that she's better than the other female characters we care about. Kind of like her, she offers to be his wife so he can rule her kingdom that she herself destroyed, but that can easily be resolved if he has invaded her country. Then there's this scene where all his wife have this meeting to talk about how they feel about him. I don't get what she's doing here. She just met him a month ago. There is no way she already knows him personally. She has not spent one single minute with him in a romantic way, apart from work. He clearly is not even interested in her, except for the fact that she knows more stuff than him. She is so insignificant to the story that if you remove her from the story, nothing will change. But enough of her, on to the next character. Aisha's a dark elf, and that's pretty much it. Well, not really, since she came to meet Toma to essentially get help on saving the forest that her people live in, and then decides to be his bodyguard. What she pretty much does is just be his bodyguard and have some cute moments. She does have this cool fight scene against a dragon person, and that's about it. I literally can't think of anything else memorable about her. She just blends into the background, and then when she speaks you realize that she was there the whole time. Again, I don't have anything more to say about her because we don't ever get any character development for her, apart from her saying how much she respects Soma for being a good guy. Yuna is probably the second character in the show that you could say has some character development. She's the one other character that has a legitimate reason to even love Soma. She comes to meet him under the intention of spying on him to determine if he's a good guy or a bad guy. But the more time she spends with him, the more she realizes that he has a good heart as he's working himself to try and solve all the problems the kingdom has. She offers to support him emotionally and sing him a lullaby whenever he's feeling down, which I found to be nice. But what I found to be annoying is that she barely has any screen time. There was a lot of potential with her, but you never really get any more character development for her except for the fact that she fully supports Soma, is a ninja, and has a good singing voice. Lisha is the only female character that probably has the most character development. She is the only character that I managed to like as she has some memorable moments, and she sees just how capable and brilliant he is. Her love for him is the most believable, and when she states that she fully supports him, it's actually earned. Though I find it dumb how at first she was against marrying him, but a couple of episodes later she's already in love with him. She brings up the idea that he can have a harem and that she's okay if he has 8 wives, but when she sees him talking with other females, she instantly gets jealous and angry. Like, what the fuck? Why are you getting mad? You said yourself that you're okay if he has 8 wives. This goes on for the entire anime. She constantly keeps telling him that she's okay if he has a harem, 8 wives, and then the anime plays it off like a joke. But I wasn't laughing because it was just so stupid. Like, are you okay if he has 8 wives or a harem or not? Choose already. Jesus, man.
Are you in? Are you out? Are you out? Are you in? What do you want?
At the end of the day, all these characters are your typical harem waifus that are in love with the main character. But if I had to be honest, they do stand out more than the main character himself because he's just really generic and bland. All you know really about him is that he's smart, and that's about it. Side note, there is one criticism that I've seen regarding this anime, and that is that the economic concepts that are used are very basic and some wish that they would have gotten more in depth with them. I was also aware of this. It's a coincidence that all the solutions that Soma came up with managed to work without any consequences. I was able to shrug it off and ignore it. And listen, as someone who's taken 2 economic courses in college, I can say from experience that once you start to get into the more advanced topics, it starts to get a bit more challenging. I think it will be very fun to see a bunch of graphs appear on your screen, especially if you're watching an anime. I don't think that's fun, but whatever. Now, will I recommend you to watch this anime? Probably not, since some of you might get bored watching it. I started watching the English stuff since I got bored and was constantly on my phone, hoping for something interesting to happen. Maybe on a rainy day I would suggest you watch this anime, or if you have been scrolling through Crunchyroll back and forth and still don't find anything to watch. There's a ton of dumb moments in this anime. One example of this will be when he's trying to figure out how to transport a bunch of troops to where Aisha's parents live and he can't think of anything, but then suddenly remembers that they have horses and carriages. Like, really, bro? How the fuck did you forget that you guys have horses and carriages? You're supposed to be smart, yet you can't even remember they have horses? If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Comment down below what your favorite harem anime is and what's the worst harem anime you've seen. For me, the worst harem anime I've seen so far is Master of Ragnarok. I will also appreciate some feedback on the video. You know, does it sound like I'm talking out of a 90s car radio? I spent 2 days trying to figure out how to get the audio to sound just right, but I'm no mechanic. But yeah, thanks for watching again and peace out.